etc., should be mandated to have fitness tests with the certificates posted therein. And why am I saying so? Just Sunday we had a light tremor, we call it an earthquake, but we had the Accra Mall incident, we had the Lagos Mall incident, we had the call that buildings in the Kaswa range, which Joy carried, are at risk of falling apart with mudslides. As a country, and definitely as an institution, my board was clear that we cannot wait for the events to happen and then we say, hey, something should have been done. So what we are calling for, we have made this call 2 months ago, we have repeated it, and we are definitely speaking to Parliament and others to see how that can be done legally, that it must be mandated. It doesn't have to be the standards authority doing the testing. It can be any accredited private sector laboratory. But we've reached a stage where if we don't hit to these signs, it will come back to bite us and bite us big time. We've stated several times that earthquakes don't kill. It is poor buildings that kill during an earthquake. And Japan is a classical example of a country where after the COVID disaster, they learned that if buildings are put up properly, in an earthquake, damage is limited. So we have a situation here where no Ghanaian can ignore. There are so many buildings you go in and you cannot expect the member of the public to know its fitness. So we have made that call and we are hoping that in the next day or two we will pursue it through all the right channels. But it's about time every single building that the public uses has a certificate pasted boldly showing that it has been tested to meet certain basic requirements. If it doesn't meet it, it either has to be reinforced, and if it cannot be reinforced, then sadly, we've got to say that the lives of people are more important than profit. So sadly, it may have to be pulled down. I hope not, but if it is not fit for human habitation, it has to be pulled down.
Right. Now, Prof, when the building code was launched, you are quoted to have said that some 20,000 youth will be employed as the authority that your organization would seek to collaborate with district assemblies to inspect and certify buildings under this code. How far have we come with the hiring of the 20,000 people?
So two things we've done. The first was to look for the law. The second was to start engaging all private sector providers who have the competence. And as we speak, the GSA has a few people already. We've started advertising that if you want buildings to be tested, please come to us. But do note that in the end, it's the assemblies who have to mandate it. The Standards Authority, unfortunately, has no powers to mandate what is done. So now we've started it on the voluntary basis, hoping that individuals will come up. But once the laws are passed and the assemblies mandate it, there will be a huge market created for the testing of buildings. And yes, we have said that it should be able to employ at least 20,000 people, because if you look at the 254 assemblies, if they are all going to undertake the necessary testing for electricals, for fire, for soil, etc., then you are looking at probably 20,000 being the conservative estimate. And this is where we are also hoping that the private sector will come in, because yes, government will do it. Yes, we would partner with the private sector, but in the end, the funding has to come from the private sector so that they get a return on their investment. Now,
buildings are already checked by the Factories Inspectorates Division. And as of now, you already have an Inspectorates Division under the Ghana Standards Authority. The building code was launched with the Vice President and with you playing a huge role in this. What is stopping you now from, say, engaging the district assemblies and beginning the testing of some of these major buildings? For instance, the Kumasi City Mall, the new Takoradi Mall, which is going to be opened officially tomorrow. What is stopping you from beginning the work?
I can tell you that we have engaged with at least two district assemblies in the Accra area. The issue is one of law. I mean, we are a country of laws. So just yesterday, we were in Parliament speaking to our select committee that what is the approach whilst we wait for the necessary legislation to be passed by the Ministry of Works and Housing. Because we believe that the ministry is the parent body for all these buildings. The law is clear on that. However, in the interim, whilst we wait for the laws to be passed, something must be done. So yesterday we were in Parliament and we are hoping that it will come to the floor for discussion and for some sort of guidance. Because as the law stands, the GSA can give advice. Yes, we can do independent testing, but what we do is not binding. But once the assembly says it's now mandatory, anybody who fails can be sent to court. So currently, what we are trying to do is to use the power of, we call it the market. And what we are saying is that if you are going to a public building, ask whether it's been tested. If it's not been tested independently, go in with caution. But that is the furthest we can go as an authority. Now, once it's made mandatory and it's been enforced, then punitive actions will follow. And at this time, we are speaking only about buildings that the public have access to.
Okay.
My hope and belief is that the Ministry of Works and Housing will then spread when the laws come to private residential buildings. But that hasn't it's not featuring on our radar yet, purely because you need to tackle the big ones first before you go on to individuals in their houses.
Has Parliament given you any indication as to how soon this bill will be tabled and this discussion will be had? Because the building code, well, I don't see any similar law like this in the current list of bills that Parliament is considering in this session.
Okay, for one, the Ministry of Works and Housing is yet to submit the LI to Parliament, so it's not even under consideration.
Good.
And our going to Parliament yesterday was just to engage the leadership of the Select Committee on Trade that what is the fastest way? I'm speaking about a matter of days rather than weeks. In the interim, because it's a stopgap measure, we've had an earthquake knocking on our doors. We have been told that we are sitting on an active earthquake area. Not doing anything is not an option. But then whatever we do should be legal. And we know the Select Committee on Trade in the next few days will definitely be bringing this up for some directions from the Speaker. And once that is done, we will move forward.
But what was their response yesterday? It was a meeting. It was an engagement between the two of you. So what did they tell you was the fastest way in the interim?
What I would say is that I, as Director General, went to engage them. And as you would appreciate, it's my Select Committee, so a range of things. But the general sentiment is that this is worth doing. So this was not a public meeting, so it won't be in the hands that. But I can see that it will be coming to the floor of Parliament because they've all realized that, look, this is important and it must be done. So the sentiment among parliamentarians is that this is important and time cannot wait. But this is only the Select Committee. It has to go to the wider group so that they give directions. In most jurisdictions, it may be that they may just give a fiat and say, look, in the meantime, this should be done, these arrangements to protect Ghanaians because they are the people's reps. So once they give directions, we'll follow. And I want to believe that the direction will come sooner than we think because everybody's worried. I am worried. You are worried. We've been told we are sitting on an active earthquake. You just can't go to bed and feel comfortable unless something is being done to mitigate the consequences of an earthquake.
Is there room for the implementation of a new division, if I can call it that, within the Standards Authority? Is there room for the rollout of this plan in your budget for 2019?
It is not in our budget, but there is room. And my view, and definitely my board's view, is this. This is work which needs to be done. There are people in Ghana who are trained and competent and who can do it and who we can engage. So we would love to do it. I mean, I will be very clear. We would love to do it. It's a potential area of work and income, but we don't have the law. So that is more the issue. But definitely would love to do it. And there is room. I mean, we have the capacity to do it by engaging with other private people. So I wouldn't want to say we are advertising ourselves, but yes, we are ready if we are charged to do this work.
How ready are we? This is something that involves 20,000 young people. This is something that involves the very lives of Ghanaians. And the building code was launched a while back. We did not see it fit to make the necessary plans to begin the work that has to be done.
The first thing was that we needed a code, and we had a clear roadmap that after the code, the Ministry of Road and Highways would develop the necessary legislative instruments, that's the LIs. That is being done. In addition to the GSC, may I also add that we have the Building and Road Research Institute, which also has the competence. We have enough people in some of our national technical universities, the former polytechnics, who can also come in. So really, Ghana, once the legal framework is clear, we can marshal anywhere between 500 and 1,000 people who can then train others to do the work which has to be done. So we have the competence as a country. We have the people. In football terms, we have the players. We just need direction, as in the law should be given, and secondly and importantly, we just need to coordinate these various people. But we do have, as a country, we do have men and women. Building and Road Research Institute has enough scientists who can do it. KNUST College of Engineering as well, Standards Authority as well, and there are at least 2 world-class private laboratories, one in Accra and one in Takoradi, who can all do these services very well.
Finally, Prof. Dodo, you said that in the meantime, it only lies in the hands of people who enter these buildings to demand that they have the certification according to the new building code. These people also have no power to enforce or demand that the building has the code. So in the meantime, you've spoken to Parliament. We are waiting for the LI to be sent to Parliament. What can we do? What can the authority do?
In the meantime, what the authority can do, and we actually continue today, is this. We are going to go and speak to our lawmakers, our bosses, and we are going to plead that give some legal provisions whilst we wait for the long process of the law. And there are several provisions, and we are giving guidance. Or alternatively, we may be asked to speak to a minister who will give a ministerial order, which is as good as law, and that will be followed. So my belief is that in the next few days, we would have clear directives on what should be done, and we are ready to follow in the next few days. I'm sure Joy FM will be waiting and watching to ask us what happens if the few days becomes weeks.
Are we then to take this as a word from you that before Christmas we are going to see inspections being carried out on key public buildings to ensure that Ghanaians who enter those buildings are safe?
I am going to push for that, and I'm hoping that all Ghanaians will push for that. I'm hoping that all Ghanaians will push for that.
You said earlier.
I think we need it. We need it because we cannot ignore the warning signs around us.
You said earlier.
And that is what we are pushing for.
Sorry, you said earlier that you're going to see the minister within the next few days for directives. And of course, the concern is being raised about public places entering Christmas. Are we going to see that the Standards Authority is going to carry out inspections before Christmas to ensure that at least for some key public installations, we are safe when we enter them?
Two, Standards Authority and other state institutions, BRI and the rest. By Christmas, I believe, I'm not a betting man, but I will say I'm almost certain that it will be approved, because what we are asking for does not require anything from the national budget, and we are requiring for something which needs to be done. So I will be surprised if it's not approved. But
so we'll see those inspections before Christmas.
I'm not a boss in Parliament.
So we'll see those inspections before Christmas.
I pray so. I hope so. And from where I sit, I will say yes. From where I sit, I will say yes.
Thank you, Prof. Alex Dodu, for joining us this morning.
Okay.
He's the Executive Director for the Ghana Standards Authority. And he's been speaking to us about the safety of the buildings that we enter during this Christmas period. But I think we've been loving this song. Let's bring it back. Prof. Dodu brings us to exactly 8 a.m. We've been talking to him about the safety of the buildings that we enter. So two quick things. A building code has been launched, as we've been saying all morning. We are going to see an LI going to Parliament shortly. But before that LI goes to Parliament, he's going to the minister in the next few days to get directives so that before Christmas we can see inspections to key installations within our major cities, so that when you go out to the mall, you go out to shop, you go to any public place, you can be assured that you are safe. We're going to hold him to that and follow up on this to ensure that we are all indeed safe before Christmas. But there's a lot more coming up on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Like we said earlier, we're going to bring you exclusive details of that story where 4 British girls were allegedly assaulted. They are not in the country anymore, but the police has been following this case. We'll be bringing you exclusive details here on the show. We'll also be discussing the approval of the drone deal. $12.5 million being spent over the next 4 years for a drone delivery service for medical supplies, medical logistics, blood amongst others. Good move or not? Send us in your questions on 0244 340 437. And we already have with us in the house Chief Superintendent Dr. Samuel Ofori. He's that doctor who did his job and saved the life in the process. But he did it under very, very difficult circumstances. We'll be hearing that story and asking ourselves, what little thing can we all do to save a life as we enter the Christmas? But before all of that, making calls on Vodafone just got more exciting on our spanking new Vodafone Talk to Browse offer. Now, when you call Vodafone or any other network, you get 10 megabytes of free data